Okay, so when I said biblical, when there was a prediction of a biblical event, and oh my God. So going back to the Petrov, right? I looked it up. It means Peter. I just came back from getting a wee shop, and it just dawned on me who Peter is. Remember, in Unorthodox. Bearing in mind, up until a few years ago, I was trying to prove that God didn't exist. And now I've walked into this whole biblical event being the messenger with the keys. Now I figured it all out. Why I named him Petrov. Remember I told you years ago, the year after just like the year my dad died, I had that dream where the man with the curly hair, dark curly hair, came to me and asked me, why have I forsaken my father? And I said, who are you? He said his name was Simon. When I asked my teacher, she said Simon the Essene, Simon the magician. I asked my teacher who he was, and she said that he was referring to my dad, because my dad had just died. Well, I turned my back on my dad. But now I know it was God. And I've just done some research because it just hit me when I was walking back. St. Peter. Why I called an unorthodox, why I called the priest St. Peter, who actually was the first pope for the Catholics and Orthodox Christians and all of that, right? He was even recognised by the Jews. I think he was Jewish. He was a Jewish fisherman. I think that's what it said. So this is a holy war, because let me spell it out for you. He was, remember in the rom-com, I said his name was John Forrest. I said, we'll just give him the name John Forrest. He was Peter, the son of John. And his original name was Simon. And it looks like, remember at Christmas Eve, when they celebrate the birth of Jeebus, right, then following the North Star. Now get this, there's a mention of Cephas, Cephas. I'll put links in the thing. And I thought, is that anything to do with the Cepheus constellation? Because the Cepheus constellation is named after a king, right? So anyway, I just don't even know. St. Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times, ended up becoming Jesus, the rock of Jesus, to which he built the kingdom of heaven. And St. Peter owns the keys to the kingdom of heaven. You have to go through St. Peter to get through the gates to enter the kingdom of heaven. Vladimir Putin and King Charles have both had cancer, right? It appears that what they are trying to do, the Illuminati, is deny the kings their right to enter the kingdom of heaven by controlling who owns the keys. So they're trying to stop kings from entering heaven by controlling who owns the keys. St. Peter is the one who judges you to decide whether you're on the books, whether you are, whether you've earned the right to enter the kingdom of heaven. I own the keys. I'm the karmic judge. Have I taken over from Peter, but here on earth? I don't know. I'm just being smart on that, but I mean, it's just so phantasmagorical. Phantasmagorical if you didn't see all the evidence. I've hardly eaten. I've hardly had anything to eat all day. My brain's just like, because I'm just sleeping, researching, recording, sleeping, eating. The last thing I had to eat was like about 10 o'clock this morning, and it's like almost like not too far off 5. So it's said that if you own the keys, St. Peter stops hell from entering heaven. And if they own the keys, because it talks about the pearls, the pearly gates, like, oh God, now I've forgotten, was there 12 pearls or 24 pearls, 12 pearls? And I think those pearls might be bloodlines, because remember when I said the quote unquote were pretending to be that linear, right? And they said that they were eighth dimensional beings, which is basically they're trying to say they're angels. And that they were from a diamond planet. And remember, he was asking on my Instagram how to get hold of my pearls. I think it's referring to bloodlines, royal bloodlines, specific royal bloodlines. And I think when these specific royal bloodlines come together here on earth, it's going to banish the world of all the devils and demons. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but look at it on the lines of some very biblically powerful bloodlines coming together to rid the world of people like Macron and Starmer and Trump, like all the evil world leaders, von der Leyen and all that. We just need the king to wake up. We need the king to add his seal to this prophecy, because it looks like God put Peter in place knowing that in the future devils and demons were going to try and pretend that heaven belonged to them. Because remember this whole Donald Trump, and all of a sudden Elon Musk is coming out saying about Christians turning the other cheek, and you know how they're all trying to make out like they're righteous and holy, and then the stupid dumbass Pope. This is why the king hates the Pope, because the Pope opened the gates to hell so that they would have access to heaven. That's how low down piece of scum earth the Pope was. And because I've been fighting it ever since, trying to shut the gates. People thought I was nuts, but it's like you can't deny the evidence. But it's all symbolic of them like trying to take over the bloodline so that they can rule over Europe and the Americas and the Commonwealth nations and that. By getting rid of the royal bloodlines, they control everything. They will then have the keys to the kingdom of heaven. And then they will let the devils and demons have access to the kingdom of heaven. And then there will be no God, there will only be Lucifer. Which is exactly what God said they were going to try and do, remember? In Book of Revelation. Now, the interesting thing is, St. Peter is also mentioned in the Book of Revelation in regards to the New Jerusalem. And the New Jerusalem is going to who? Russia. So that's why I said Petrov. So here I am thinking I'm writing these movies, an occult horror and a rom-com, and it turns out I was actually laying out the codes for some big massive revelation in regards to NATO nations trying to kill off royal bloodlines in order to have access to the kingdom of heaven. Because remember as well, Vladimir Putin with his orthodoxy and all that, like he's like a big deal in the Church of Orthodoxy, and King Charles owns the rights to the book of the King James Bible. And it all goes back to what? The King David bloodline and the Anglo-Israelites. So now even we know that with the seraphim. So now even Jewish gods and angels and apostles and that are getting involved and trying to stop evil from gaining access to the light. So I don't know what this seal is of King Charles, but apparently God keeps saying the King Charles is about to put his seal on something, or he has a seal that when he presents it, that's it. That's the end of days is over. The days of darkness is over. All over. And then light will reign, and then that's the end of all the devils and demons on earth that are representing themselves as world leaders, politicians, musicians, artists, all of it, like the whole thing. They said, it says in my movie, devils and demons. And remember, the demons are the minions to the devil. So people like your Hollywood actors and your musicians and that who in the Illuminati that that we know of, the Interscope Records and all of those kind of people, they bow down to like the governors and the senators and the politicians and the presidents of companies and the presidents of countries, and they're the ones that do all the devil's work. They're the ones that convince the kids that being sexually active at the age of 10 is fine. Because, see, the thing is, what you all need to understand is this hypersexualization of children is to make pedophilia normal. Like with this Interscope Celeste murder with that David, D4VD, right? Nobody was bothered by the fact that he was 18 and she was 13. They're trying to normalise pedophilia. And if they, but she asked for it. Remember with Starmer and the grooming gangs and that they said they were prostitutes. They were young girl prostitutes. They're trying to normalise children being sexually active from a very, very young age. And the one thing that Vladimir Putin and myself, with my purity keys and all that, the things that we're trying to do is bring back normal traditional relationships where it's a man and a woman, they get married, they have children, that sort of thing. This personally has nothing to do with the LGB, because like I said before, there's masculine and feminine in any relationship. This is about raising children in healthy relationships where the two parents get married, raise children in happy, healthy environments and stay together until the day they die. And it's the opposite of everything that's happening because they all worship Baphomet. And Baphomet is Musk's devil, and Baphomet is the one who tears traditional family values apart, promotes the LGBTQ, promotes the whole polygamy, and having multiple children to multiple different partners, and like switching it up, and pornography being normal, and dressing promiscuous and acting promiscuous, like all that's Baphomet. And so this is literally a fight to defend the gates of heaven, and I'm standing in front of it with my sword of truth being my mouth, leaking all these codes out because that's what God needed me for. So now it's like I'm not just trying to alert the world to what's going on, but I'm also now having to stand in front of the gates of heaven to defend God, to defend my kings, my ancestors, and my God. When I started this a few years ago, even like the days before my blog, I had no idea what I was going to be walking into, and I've lost everything over this. Like every single person, every single thing I've lost because they got into their heads and talked to them. Because you have to remember, as Baphomet is also the great talker, the great convincer. The devil knows how to tempt you. The devil knows exactly what to say in order to get what they want from you, and your job is to fight the temptation of the devil. And my entire family, other than one sister and a nephew, turned their back and took the side of the devil, Chris, who worships Baphomet. Baphomet is his devil. Baphomet drinks blood as well. So does Molech. Baal doesn't drink blood. Baal demands the sacrifice of blood, but he doesn't generally drink it. Molech does, and Baphomet does. And making a sacrifice of someone's lineage is the ultimate blood sacrifice. And so it's like, over my dead body will they touch Vladimir Putin and King Charles. But I mean, I can only do so much for them. At some point they're going to have to live up to their end of the bargain. Otherwise I'm going to get completely removed from it, and King Charles is going to get taken down. They're going to eat him alive. They're going to tear his family to shreds publicly. Because remember, sacrifices are all done in full view of the public to teach a lesson to everybody else. Don't mess with us. But God's like, I'm going to mess with you. Because I'm not having it. Because the hell is not going to become heaven. And I'm talking using biblical references, but speak of it as like saving your soul, saving your conscience, saving your innocence, saving your purity. Saving your innocence can be saving you from the lies that you've been told that have led you to believe that taking the side of Israel and Ukraine is the moral thing to do, when it's not. When in actual fact it's smoke and mirrors, and all they want to do is get their hands on our children and control how we breed and how we have children and who we have them to, if we're allowed them at all. Because let's not forget that vaccine, that COVID vaccine, and that makes you infertile. Having those drugs that change your sex makes you infertile. I'm really, 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 really happy that Elon Musk's daughter has found her place within herself, but it makes me sad if she didn't save any of her sperm before she transitioned. She's never going to have children. She might not even want to have children, but your lineage is so important. And it's why I won't have my daughter to, because my daughter's who they want their hands on. And the second coming, they're who they really want their hands on. They either want to be the one to sire these children or to stop them from doing what God has put them here to do. And now that's just pissed me off, because now they're trying to target God. And even though he's like totally unbeatable, like they're never going to be able to beat him, that's just made me even more determined. Because after I posted that last one, I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to come after me. This is it. I'm going to end up either dead, or they're going to find some reason to lock me up or deport me or something like that. But I just, I have to try. I have to try and get through to the king, because he doesn't realise who he's around and what they're trying to do to him. And the thing is, it, for all intents and purposes, it does seem phantasmagorical until you look at the evidence. If you start from scratch from the minute I started posting and work your way up, everything falls into place. It all makes sense. And I'm telling the truth. I've lost everything. My prized possessions, my heirloom stuff is at the hands of the man who tried to kill me, who lied to my children, who is a predator to women. I have to beg, well, not beg, but I have to jump through hoops to prove I'm not here illegally every month just to get enough money to survive, and he's threatening to take that away. And if we don't get the IDs, like with China and that, you're not even going to get food, because they're all trying to gain access to your rights. They want to try and make sure that they have control over who gets to live, who gets to breed, and who gets to enter the kingdom of heaven. And if they can stop people, the bloodlines like me, King Charles, and Vladimir Putin from entering the kingdom of heaven, especially with Vladimir Putin being the father, talking about the Holy Trinity bloodlines here, Vladimir Putin being the supposed to be in the position of the father of the New Jerusalem. He's getting the prestige and the honour of being the country where the second coming of Christ is going to be born. We're in a full-blown holy war. And Trump, suddenly you blow the planes out, blow the Russian planes out the sky, and I don't care, I'm going to leave it up to Europe. It's exactly what he wants. He wants to cause war with Russia, but he's acting like he doesn't care, but it's all a fake, it's all a ruse. That's why he sounds so confused and discombobulated when he talks, because his body is giving away the fact that the words coming out of his mouth are lies. The brain can't lie. You physically have to force your brain to lie, and when that happens, your central nervous system reacts. So the way that he comes across when he gives his conferences and all that, and with Elon Musk, how he, with the Asperger's, it's not. They said he was quote unquote retarded as a kid, and then they said he had Asperger's. I don't know about that. I've been looking into that. I think it's all smoke and mirrors. Trying to make himself, because people know that people with Asperger's and that are considered geniuses, but there's nothing genius about that man. He exhibits no signs of genius, and I know because I want to build a school that I want to fill up with child geniuses. So I know what a genius is. And he's not a genius. It's all an act. I'm convinced of it. To lull you into a false sense of security so that people will call out to them when they feel like they're in hell, but they don't realise by calling on people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump to save them from people like Starmer and all that. It's all part of the plan. It's all done on purpose so that you'll invite them in, because remember, you can only let the devil in by invitation. Like Dracula, they can knock at your door all you like, but if you don't open the door and let them in, they have no access to your house. You can only let them in if you open the door and invite them. Just like with God and Jesus, you have to want to let them in, and then you'll be going from the frying pan into the fire, if that's the case, quite literally. Because so now I understand why Petrov. I'll put links in the description box below, but if the king is listening, I really, really hope he's listening. Because they're trying to stop him from getting into the kingdom of heaven, and it's probably why Diana and the Queen have come to me with those codes, because they've been stopped from entering heaven. And so they're working through me to pay off karmic debt so that they can enter the kingdom of heaven. And if it's the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to free them from purgatory, and I'm going to let them enter the gates of heaven, because, my God, have they done more than enough to prove that anything that they got wrong in their lifetime, they've done more than paid it off, because they're not just like saving Charles and his family, they're literally helping save the world. All these Commonwealth leaders have no loyalty to the king. His own military and police force and NHS have no loyalty to the king. That Peter Thiel, the BlackRock, Vanguard and all that, they're all in on the conspiracy to stop the royal bloodlines, because they want to have control over who enters the kingdom of heaven or not. And don't forget, I said to you a few weeks ago, heaven is on earth. And St. Peter, it says in the Bible, God says to him, was it God or Jesus? I'm a reverend as well. Just don't even, just let me go with it, please. Said that Peter is his rock. Peter was referred to as the rock, and that he was going to build the kingdom of heaven on the rock, which means heaven is on earth. And then what we go to in the afterlife is whatever we create it to be, based on our karmic debt, which means that the Queen and Princess Diana, if they've come to me, they will have earned enough to decide who they want to become in the next life, which is the 9th element. And that's, sorry, the 8th element. That's birth. That's my domain. The 9th element is the universe, the council of elders, like having access to the council. So, like on the other side of the wormholes, the ones in charge of the new universe being developed as we speak. So I'm going to go now and put food on, because I'm running on empty. I need food bad. I'm starting to get dizzy in that, because I've been really just, you have no idea what using quantum magnetics does on the body. So I'm going to go, and I shall speak to you later, but I've blown my own mind. I did not see this one coming. And God tells me everything about us, divine timing, eh? Everything happens for a reason. I can't even believe this is happening, and I can't even believe that now I get to turn all this into an occult horror movie. And a rom-com, because why not?